Hey folks, I'm Cody Campbell with High Ground Gaming, and today we are unboxing and reviewing the Netgear Nighthawk XR1000 Wi-Fi 6 gaming router. I don't usually get excited about routers, but this one has a couple of unique features that I think is pretty neat. First of all, it has Wi-Fi 6, which is pretty great. That's basically the best Wi-Fi there is right now. It's still no substitute for an Ethernet cable if you want to hardline in any of your gaming devices, but if Ethernet's not an option for any reason, this is going to give you the best Wi-Fi gaming performance available. According to Netgear, it has up to 93% ping reduction. It does that through this sort of geofencing thing that it does, where it picks the best servers to give you the lowest amount of ping, so your internet response is going to be as fast as possible. It uses their DumaOS 3.0 that allows you to allocate bandwidth. Now that's actually my favorite thing about this, because bandwidth sort of splits your internet speed amongst all the things that are connected to Wi-Fi. So I don't know about you, but I have a lot of things connected to Wi-Fi nowadays. Your thermostat could be connected to Wi-Fi. Your coffee maker could be connected to Wi-Fi. And all those things don't necessarily need a lot of your bandwidth. This allows you to allocate a certain percentage to your gaming PC or console in order to get much better performance for those individual things. And that, I think, is probably the thing that stands out the most to me about this. It has some pretty good cybersecurity too. It's got WPA2, WPA3 wireless security protocols. It also has VPN and their own Netgear Armor, which is a sort of antivirus, anti-malware sort of thing. So without further ado, I'm going to get into the actual unboxing. Looks like it's not even taped shut. I can just kind of pop this guy open. Hopefully this goes a little better than last time. There we go. Oh, we got another box inside the box. All right, what do we got here? Firmware update instructions, quick start guide. Oh, tells you to download the app. So they've got a app to install it. That's pretty cool. Ooh. And it's just sort of displayed in there. It's got a little pull tab to make it easy on me. Let's consider it. Okay, here's the router itself. Pretty cool looking piece of tech. Kind of looks like a spaceship. I like that. It's got the black and red design, sort of like a classic Sega Genesis look. Lift off that piece. What do we have in here? I believe this should have at least a couple of antenna in here. So that's the end of that. Got a little box here. Yes, 4 antennae. So we can go ahead and pop these guys on there. It's got an Ethernet cable. It's always important. So much cardboard. And a power plug. All right, AC adapter. Let's take a look at the back here. We've got a USB 3.0. We've got the Ethernet in, and then we've got 4 Ethernet out ports. Power there, on off button. Little reset button. You're going to get a needle to stab in there. All in all, it's a pretty good looking machine. Looks like it just sort of stands up like that. It's pretty easy to set up, I should think. But I will be getting into that more during the actual review section. So without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and take this. I'm gonna finish setting it up, and I'll test it out for a couple of weeks, do lots of speed tests, stuff like that. And then I'll get back to you guys with a review. See you in a bit. All right, we're back with the review section, and I have had the XR1000 plugged in for about 2 weeks now. It's a great router. I have some interesting things to say about it, actually. I didn't think I'd have this much to say about a router, but it's got some pretty cool features that I'm excited to talk about. First of all, I want to talk about the setup. You might have noticed that one of these little antennae fell down while I was setting it up earlier. That's because I wasn't paying attention. They actually have designated slots. This is antenna 1, 2, 3, 4. They're labeled. I wasn't paying attention to that, which is why that one didn't sit correctly. But yeah, once I noticed the little labels and the idiot proofing that they had set up, I got it going real easy. In terms of the actually plugging it in, setting it up, it couldn't have been easier. I have never had this easy of a time setting up a router before. You just download the Nighthawk app on any smart device. You can also do it on a computer through a URL, but it's a lot easier with the app. Basically, you just download the app, you scan the little QR code there, and it pulls up the information for your router right away. Once you've got that set, it recognizes your router. It tells you exactly what to do. For me, it was 4 or 5 steps, took less than 10 minutes, and then boom, I had internet. The Nighthawk app actually has a lot more usability than that also. Don't delete it as soon as you set up. There's some pretty cool stuff on there. You can control usernames and passwords and stuff like that, but it's also got security and it's got device monitoring, so you can see what's connected and what's not. You can also use that to disconnect devices that you don't want sucking up your bandwidth. For example, I have a Nintendo 3DS that I use all of once or twice a year. That doesn't need to be connected and updating all the time, so I went ahead and disconnected that. You can have it set up so it sends you notifications of security protocols, but I was getting notified every time I got a pop-up, so I went ahead and turned that off. But if you like that sort of thing, then that's great to have. That's enough about the app though. Let's get into the actual features of this guy here. First of all, I want to talk about one of its biggest features, that it uses Wi-Fi 6. Now, Wi-Fi 6 is the newest and fastest sort of Wi-Fi. It's almost 3 times faster than Wi-Fi 5. It can handle a greater amount of devices through its expanded bandwidth, and it's just faster and better in general. But there's kind of a caveat there. Wi-Fi 6 is new. Not a lot of devices actually make use of it right now. I actually don't have any Wi-Fi 6 compatible devices. I still use an iPhone 7, so not a lot of hope for me, I suppose. Also, I should mention, if you have an Ethernet connection, that's going to be faster and more stable than any Wi-Fi. But there's kind of at least one big standout exception here: the PS5. The PS5 is Wi-Fi 6 compatible, and the PS5 demands a lot of bandwidth and some pretty incredible speeds for its games, especially if you're gaming at 4K. Some newer smartphones, tablets, computers, they're going to have Wi-Fi 6, especially as more are coming out in the new year. But for right now, there's not a lot of use for that. That said, Wi-Fi 6 is only going to get more popular, and if you're buying a new router now, investing in Wi-Fi 6 now might mean that you don't have to buy another router later, so there's a little bit of a future-proofing element there. For me personally, when I switched from my Wi-Fi 5 router to the Wi-Fi 6 router, I didn't notice a big increase in upload and download speeds. It was about the same. I used an independent test, Ookla speed test. I didn't want to use the Netgear test because I wanted it to be more objective before and after. Also, the Netgear speed test measures directly from the router instead of from your computer. So that's in a way a better test, but I didn't have a version for my Asus router to do beforehand, so there was no way to compare it. I did, however, notice a big decrease in my ping. I went from around 19, 20 milliseconds ping all the way down to about 12 to 14. So 25 to 30% reduction in ping. That's not nothing. That's actually pretty significant. So that was exciting for me. And I think a lot of that comes down to the DumaOS. Now that is the thing that I think sells this the most right now. DumaOS is a control software. Well, it's the operating system, but there's also a control software that you can use to personalize the way that this works. Now, it's pretty cool because bandwidth is the entirety of your internet speed being distributed. So say you pay for 200 milliseconds, but you have 4 devices. Each of those devices is only getting 50 millisecond download speeds because it's being split 4 ways. The DumaOS has something called QoS, which is bandwidth allocation. Now that can allow you to specify what activities and what devices get preferential treatment from the router. That's my favorite thing about this. So I can specify that gaming gets a higher percentage of bandwidth than, say, general web browsing or my Amazon Alexa. None of those things need a whole lot of bandwidth. Gaming needs a ton of bandwidth. Streaming needs a ton of bandwidth. So you can allocate those activities to give them more. And that's pretty exciting to me personally. That, I think, is one of the biggest selling points of this. The DumaOS also allows for geofilter, which helps reduce lag from servers, or the ping heat map, which helps measure and target what servers are giving you trouble with ping and which ones are better for specific games, so your ping gets lowered. It also has a connection benchmark, which is a very good connection benchmark because, as I said earlier, it takes the information directly from the router rather than from your PC. But there's also a device manager, a network monitor, a traffic controller, all kinds of crazy stuff that you can control with the DumaOS 3.0 software. All right, so let's get down to the verdict. Should you buy it or not? The Netgear Nighthawk XR1000 Wi-Fi 6 gaming router is a top-of-the-line router. If you're a PS5 owner and you can't use Ethernet, this might be the best way to go. If you're an enthusiast who wants the fastest speeds and you have a fast internet connection and you just want to broadcast it really quickly, this is the way to go. If you want to future-proof and you see yourself owning a lot of Wi-Fi 6 compatible devices down the line and you don't want to buy another router later, this is the way to go. If you want something for right now, you don't have a PS5, you don't have a ton of other Wi-Fi 6 compatible devices, you don't really care that much about the control software for targeting and all that sort of stuff, this is vastly overpriced. You will find much, much more affordable routers out there that will do everything that you need and more. This is not designed for the low to mid range. It's not even designed for the upper mid range. This is a premium class router, and unless you're also paying for extremely fast internet and you also have all the newest and fastest gadgets, you're really not going to get your money's worth out of it. That said, you might someday. Choice is ultimately up to you. But keeping all of that in mind, we actually gave this a 9.1 out of 10. It's a fantastic router. It does everything it's supposed to do. It does them well. It's easy to set up. It looks cool. The only reason we docked a point from it is because of the price tag, and honestly, the price isn't inappropriate for what it is. It's just that most people don't need what it is yet. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. We're going to be doing a lot more reviews, so you're definitely going to want to stick around and check those out. We're also a new channel, so every subscriber really counts right now. If you have this router, go ahead and leave a comment and tell our other viewers what your experience was like. Did you think it was worth it? Did you get your money's worth out of it? Did you see a big boost in performance from your last router? And if you're looking at other routers, tell us which ones you're looking at and why you like those better. All right, thanks for watching. Happy gaming.